Hello everyone, TMMgamer here, and today I am bringing you a very special gameplay because today's gameplay is not mine. It is a gameplay from Dan, or WTF Productions. You might have heard of him before. He's someone who's helped me out in the past and someone I've worked together with on YouTube before. But what we decided to do is switch up our gameplays because some of his subscribers said to him that he wanted, you know, more tight gameplay, and some of you guys have said to me that you want more beastly rushing killstreak whoring gameplay. So what we decided to do is to switch our gameplay for today. He's going to be uploading one of the tight gameplays I've uploaded on my channel, and I'm uploading one of his beast gameplays that he's uploaded on his channel. Sorry. So that was the whole idea, and I'm really looking forward to talking a little bit about a slightly different playstyle, because when you know, play like I do, which I tend to play a little bit more defensively, you know, as a support role, managing traffic streams, giving call-outs, defending the spawns, you know, that sort of thing. Playing like this is a totally different kettle of fish because, you know, intelligent rushing is a very hard thing to do in a Call of Duty because, as most of you know, Call of Duty is a very easy game to die in. You know, all the weapons do a lot of damage. It's very easy to get randomly stunned, and if you get randomly stunned with an enemy nearby you, you're very likely to die. And also, don't forget, kill streaks are flying in all the time, grenades are flinging all around, so it only takes one slight mistake and all of a sudden your good work and your good rush is over. So one of the keys to rushing effectively in any Call of Duty game, but especially in Modern Warfare 3, is rushing with cover. Now, this is something that players like XCal and Sandy Ravage do especially well, and you can see this in use here in this gameplay because when Dan is rushing around, he's not just charging in a straight line. You know, you see a lot of people when they try and get aggressive just run hell for leather towards the objective. What Dan's doing is he rushes up a bit, but he uses cover in his rushes. As you can see here, he's constantly pushing forward, but whenever he reloads, he's in cover, and then he pops back out when he needs to engage the gunfight, has a quick look round the corner, and then goes again. You know, this is the real skill to rushing, because it's very easy just to charge for the objective, but to rush like this takes a lot more skill and finesse. But as you can see, if you manage to perform it correctly, you can go on some absolutely beastly runs, and as you can go here. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about the classes used in the kill streaks, but I'm about to come up to a new part of videos that I'm beginning to incorporate a little bit more. Now, one of your recommendations was in the comments of that video I uploaded about 2 weeks ago, well no, not even that long, about a week ago, was that I do a lot more split screen pauses and to show you tactics, and this is going to be the first one of those I do today. Now, as the screen pauses here, you can see that Dan has been shooting at a guy who's just ran around the corner. Now, there are several things you can do here. You can either back off and accept you've lost the gunfight, you can just try and charge around and catch him unawares, or what I like that Dan does here, he decides to do a jump shot. Now, a jump shot is you sprint forward, get as far away as you can go without coming out of sprint, and then you jump around the corner. By doing this, you take the enemy by surprise, because if you slowly inch around the corner as they're expecting, you're much more likely to get shot. If you jump around the corner, you'll take yourself a further metre or two away from the corner of that building, somewhere where the enemy aren't expecting you to be. And if you can do that, you can catch them by surprise, just as Dan's about to do here. So that is a really good tip, especially if you're coming around a corner that you think an enemy's going to be waiting. If you run round and jump, you'll catch them by surprise. You'll go flying past where he's aiming, and if your aim's quick, you'll be able to get the kill, as Dan does here. Now, for the rest of this commentary, I'm going to talk a little bit more about the class, the weapon, and the point streaks that Dan's using, because all of these things play a massive part in the class you're going to be using. First, let's talk a bit about the weapon. Now, the PP90M1 is probably the best SMG in Call of Duty. You know, it's right up there. The only one that can really cope with it is the MP7, but the reason why I say the PP90 is better, I think it feels more powerful. You know, occasionally, especially over long range, you feel like the MP7 just needs a little bit more stopping power, but with the PP90M1 really is the perfect SMG, and it's a brilliant one to use silenced because it's still powerful enough and still has a fast enough rate of fire for you to be able to get the kills quickly while still staying off the map. So it's a great weapon to use. Also, the perks you decide to pick when you're doing a rushing class are very important. Now, the perks are also influenced by the weapon choice. Obviously, because Dan's using the PP90M1 with a dual attachments with the silencer and extended mag, that extra magazine capacity means you don't necessarily have to run sleight of hand. And when you're not running sleight of hand, you can afford to get away with running a perk like extreme conditioning. Now, Extreme Conditioning is a perk that perhaps I need to use more often because I don't really give it that much of an opportunity, but when you do use it, it gives you that ability to move around the map so much faster. I mean, that just that extra bit of sprint distance really does give you an opportunity to close to the enemy a lot faster than they're expecting. Because the vast majority of people really don't use Extreme Conditioning. They use, like I said, Sleight of Hand or Recon. If you do use Extreme Conditioning, you will get to gunfights 1 or 2 seconds earlier than the enemy are expecting, and just that split second difference is enough to put the enemy on the back foot and really let you impose what gunfight you want on them. So it's a really good perk. The other 2 perks that Dan's using is Quick Draw and Stalk. Now, Quick Draw is a pretty obvious choice for a rusher, because when you're trying to get the enemy on the back foot and you're trying to put the pressure on them, you need that ability to quickly throw your sights up, because you're often going to be rushing against entrenched enemies, people who are going to be behind cover with their sights up waiting for you to come around that corner. So although Extreme Conditioning will give you that initial advantage, you'll catch them by surprise. You need that ability to put your sights up very, very quickly to be able to take them down, because if you run a perk like Hardline or any other second tier perk, while you might get an ability in another area, you'll have a very, very slow aim down sights time in comparison to a quick draw guy. So if you get that quick draw guy come up against you, he's going to have a much better chance to take you down in the gunfight. So that is a really, really good perk for a rushing class. The third tier perk choice is another good perk as well. It's Stalker. Now, Stalker seems a perk choice that is a little bit strange, because the benefit is being able to move faster when you're aiming down sight. Now, on first glance, that really doesn't sound as effective as, say, steady aim, which gives you much better hip fire. You might think that you will have a lot more uses for steady aim, but when you actually think about it more in depth, you realise that the vast majority of time in gunfights, you're going to have your sights up. So the ability to move faster when you're aiming down sight is going to come into play a lot more often than steady aim, for example, because the vast majority of gunfights you take on, you're aiming down sight and not hip firing. If you put into the equation quick draw as well, there's even less reason to hip fire. So if you combine the perks Stalker and quick draw, you become an aiming down sight machine, and you really do not need to hip fire at all. Obviously, when you're using an SMG, as Dan does here, you can hip fire if you need to, but that ability to move faster when you're aiming down sight is crucial, especially when you're rushing. Alright, I hope you enjoyed that little bit. Just for the final bit, I'm going to talk about Dan's point streaks. Now, Dan's point streaks are set up in a very, very similar way to what I talked about yesterday, which was kill streaks or point streaks shouldn't be too far apart. Now, the point streak setup I recommended yesterday was Predator Missile, Attack Helicopter, AH6. Dan spread this out a little bit more to enable him to get those higher kill streaks. He's gone for Predator Missile, AH6 and Pavlo. But even with that slight spreading out, the point streaks are still pretty close together. They're not like the 7 or 8 kill gap that you see a lot of time. You know, by having these point streaks close together, it really does encourage you to rush more, because if you've got a 7 or 8 kill gap before your next point streak, you're going to be wanting to play a lot more defensively and a lot slower than you would if you had a 2-point gap. So that is a really good tip to finish the commentary up with. If you are rushing, everything is important, from your weapon choice all the way down to your point streaks. If you follow all the tips in this video, I'm sure you'll have much more success rushing and get much more beast gameplay as Dan does here. So guys, I really hope you've enjoyed watching the gameplay and listening to the commentary. So if you have, please rate and comment as always, and as always, have a great day.